Soy might be the most misunderstood food on the internet. Depending on who you ask, it either raises estrogen, lowers testosterone, wrecks your thyroid, or secretly turns you into a soy boy, which I've been accused of many times in the comments. So instead of arguing in the comments, I decided to do what I like to do, and I ate soy every single day for 30 days. And I tracked what actually happened. Now, I do want to say that soy is typically a big part of my diet. I didn't have to make a lot of changes to do this every day, but I did swap out most of my plant-based milks for soy milk. I added soy milk in every single day. I did start eating more tofu, tempeh, and textured protein. Now, when I'm talking about tracking, I have some blood work that I took 6 months ago, and I'm going to be comparing that to blood work that I took on December 26th, I believe 27th, 2026, just a few weeks ago. What's interesting about soy isn't just the claims, it's how confident people are when they talk about them.
The worst protein in the entire world, textured soy protein. That is the worst protein a human could eat, from my viewpoint.
Soy is blamed for hormone problems, infertility, man boobs, thyroid dysfunction. It's endless. And yet it's also been eaten daily in countries with long life expectancies and low chronic disease rates. That contradiction alone told me that something was off. And honestly, what's bringing me to this is I keep seeing this happen in nutrition. We take one compound, in this case, phytoestrogen, strip out all of the context, exaggerate the effect, and ignore real-world outcomes. So instead of debating mechanisms in isolation, I wanted to test a simpler question. What happens when a real human eats a high amount of soy daily in a normal diet while also training for marathons and running long-distance races and living a somewhat normal life? If soy really behaves the way people claim, if it meaningfully raises estrogen and lowers testosterone or disrupts thyroid function at all, then eating far more of it over 30 days should have some results. Now, before we move on, a little disclaimer. I do want to add that this isn't a real scientific study. I did this on myself. The outcomes can be caused from so many different variables. I just wanted to see exactly what would happen. Would my testosterone tank? Would my estrogen go through the roof? You would think from the way people speak that there would be a large difference. So that's why I did this. But really quick, let me tell you about today's sponsor. You know that moment late at night when you feel something off, and suddenly you're on your phone at 11:30 p.m. Googling symptoms, convincing yourself it's way worse than it probably is. I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. And honestly, what usually stops me from actually booking an appointment isn't wanting care, it's the friction. Calling during office hours, being put on hold, finally getting an appointment, but it is, a month away. And that's why I wanted to tell you about ZocDoc, today's sponsor. ZocDoc removes all of that. It's a free website where you can search for in-network doctors, read real patient reviews, and book an appointment instantly without talking to anyone on the phone. You can search by specialty or symptom, whether that's primary care, dermatology, dentistry, eye care. Over 200 specialties with over 150,000 providers across all 50 states. And you're not guessing. You can read verified, real patient reviews to see who listens, who fits your vibe, and who has real-time availability, including video visits or in-person appointments, often within 24 to 72 hours. Appointments made with ZocDoc happen fast, sometimes even the same day. For me, it's been the difference between spiraling out at night or knowing that I have care lined up in the morning. So gang, be kind to yourself this year. Using ZocDoc is free. Click the link in the description below or head to ZocDoc.com/SauceStache to find and instantly book an appointment with a top-rated in-network doctor today. ZocDoc, thank you for sponsoring today's video and for creating such an incredible service. Okay, we're back. Before we get into the outcomes, I want to talk about some rules that I set for myself. It was pretty simple. For 30 days, I ate soy every single day. Like I said, I replaced all my plant-based milks with soy milk. I actually didn't use any soy protein powder. I had tofu, tempeh, and I replaced a lot of my legumes with edamame. It was enough to meaningfully contribute to my daily protein intake. I tried to stay around 140 to 160 grams of protein. That's what I did for my diet. I've been tracking my food for a long time after my weight loss. It's something that I enjoy doing and it helps me with my training. So I didn't meaningfully change my calories. That stayed exactly the same. The protein intake stayed roughly the same. Training volume stayed roughly the same. I actually dived down because I was in between training blocks. I just finished and raced the Chicago Marathon, and I'm just now starting the London Marathon training. So I had a little bit of time in between to do this test. And then overall, my sleep stayed the same. Sleep scores didn't meaningfully change much. This wasn't a fat loss phase. I wasn't reducing calories. This also wasn't a bulk. I wasn't trying to get bigger. Even though I did work out maybe a little bit harder in the gym, I don't think that should affect the total numbers that dramatically. And again, I just want to clarify, this isn't a lab study. It's not meant to prove causation. All I wanted to test was, does the fear show up in real life? So claim 1. Soy raises estrogen in men. This comes from confusion around phytoestrogens. People are like, oh, soy has estrogen in it. Phytoestrogens are a plant compound that weakly binds estrogen receptors. It is true. Phytoestrogens do bind to estrogen receptors, but not great. Claim 2 is soy lowers testosterone. That's often compared with the estrogen claim. I believe it's just kind of goes hand in hand. People think if one thing happens, the other thing happens. And claim 3 is soy disrupts thyroid function. This one gets repeated endlessly, usually without mentioning anything else like iodine status or dosage or anything. So before we took the blood work, I did want to talk about how I felt. Training for the Chicago Marathon was pretty tough this year. Actually running through the summer was very hard. I did find that I have low ferritin. My iron wasn't binding correctly. That happens sometimes with long distance runners, people that are running and constantly training for marathon. 2 back-to-back marathon builds probably did that to me. So my energy levels, I would say, were fairly medium to low. Once I started raising the soy and getting off of the marathon block, my energy levels kind of returned to normal. Felt pretty good. No bloating, no digestion issues. My basic training, my base training before the marathon, everything kind of felt normal, kind of started regaining some normalcy. Hunger and satiety were predictable, which honestly is kind of the point that I wanted to make. When foods like this are demonized, people expect fireworks. They expect to notice big, huge changes. But most real foods eaten in context are just food. Tofu, tempeh, and soy milk are just food. In my opinion, they're good for you. This is just my opinion, but I think they're good. I prefer soy milk over many other milks. Now let's talk about the blood work. Some of these labs were taken a year apart, some of them were taken 6 months apart. So, hormones. My total testosterone went up from 929 to over 1100. Free testosterone, that's the biologically active form of testosterone, what your body could use. That went up from 73 to 83. Estradiol, which is actually already in the healthy range, actually went down. That's your estrogen. If soy were meaningfully estrogenic in men, I don't believe you would have seen those results. That's not the pattern that I think a lot of people that have called me soy boy in the past would have expected. So, lipids and metabolic markers. HDL cholesterol went up slightly. LDL cholesterol also went up. This isn't shocking because there is more information that lipids respond to calories, training load. As my training load went up, my calories had to go up. But again, everything kind of stayed normal in range while I was doing this test. It's not like I changed my caloric load while I was doing the test. It was just as I started to run more miles, I needed more calories. And there's also some genetic patterns, which is what my doctors believe is the reason why I even have high LDL. And my fasting glucose did not change. Now, one marker that I do want to talk about is tofu is blamed for inflammation. My inflammation markers did go up. HS-CRP went from 1 to 1.5, which does show mild inflammation. Could be from tofu. It could be from running over 1,500 miles last year. For my thyroid, TSH came down slightly, 2.38 to 2.05. And my free T4 stayed exactly the same. That means my thyroid functions stayed stable. No change. So what exactly does it mean, and what doesn't it mean? This doesn't prove anything. Soy didn't boost my testosterone. It doesn't prove that soy doesn't lower estrogen. It doesn't prove that soy is magic in any meaningful way. But in my opinion, it does show something important. Soy does not behave the way the fear narrative claims it should behave. When you're eating soy in normal amounts, by a real human, not in the lab, like not a lab rat being fed hundreds of grams more than the normal daily amount, used in a real diet, you're not going to see any meaningful effects. Probably not going to see any meaningful effects. If a food were truly hormonally disruptive, you wouldn't need to squint at lab results to see it. Now, I am going to continue to eat soy in my diet normally. Probably not going to purposefully eat it every single day, but I'm also not going to purposefully avoid it. I am going to continue using soy milk in replace of plant milks. I don't use milk a whole lot. I add it to my cereal. I can redo this test in a year if you'd be interested to see what a year of adding more soy into your diet looks like. So again, I just want to add that this test was more for fun, just to kind of prove some of the comments wrong a little bit. That's all it really was. Nutrition isn't that fragile that a lot of these influencers make it out to be. I hear constantly from some of these people that soy is toxic. And if it was toxic, you would have seen some pretty meaningful results in my blood tests. Hormones aren't that easy to break, and most fear-based food rules fall apart as soon as you test them, which is what I plan to do more here in the future on the channel. If you want me to test another food for 30 days, drop them in the comments, let me know. I'm really curious to see what you think. I'll eat it, track it, and see what actually happens.